Picture this. It's 2026. You've got the pristine passport, the flights are booked, the hotels are paid for, and you are totally ready for that European getaway.
Right, you're practically tasting the croissants already.
Exactly. But then you get to the airport check-in desk, and the agent just shakes their head. Your passport is totally valid, but you're missing this tiny digital permission. And just like that, your vacation is over before it even started.
It's brutal. I mean, it is the ultimate blind spot for millions of travelers right now.
It really is. So, okay, let's unpack this because my anxiety is already spiking just thinking about it. We are doing a deep dive today into a massive stack of intel regarding Europe's new digital border regulations.
Yeah, the era of just showing up with a physical passport and hopping on a plane is, well, it's officially dead.
Completely dead. Our mission today is to guide you through this wild new permission-based travel landscape. We're talking about the ES, the ETS, the UK ETS.
All the fun acronyms.
All of them. We want to make sure you aren't caught off guard or hit with these massive delays, or worse, scammed out of your money.
Because the stakes are just incredibly high now. This isn't just a minor tech update, you know. It's a fundamental shift in how global borders operate.
Right.
Historically, the border agent at your destination made the call. They looked at your face, checked your documents, made a human decision. Now, that whole responsibility has shifted to the airline and really to you before you even leave your house.
Well, before we even talk about getting on the plane, we need to talk about landing. Because the absolute most iconic part of international travel, getting that ink stamp in your passport, is gone.
Yeah, RIP to the passport stamp.
Seriously.
Mm.
It's been replaced by the EES, the entry-exit system. You really need to consider the system as a digital version of the old passport stamp.
That's a great way to put it, because the new EES system digitally records all your entries and exits from the area, specifically the Schengen area, which is most of Europe.
And it does this through biometrics, right?
Yes, exactly. Biometric registration is mandatory upon your first arrival at the airport. It's not optional.
So what does that actually look like for the traveler? You just look into a camera.
It's way more intense than that. You walk up to this automated kiosk, scan your passport chip, and then the machine takes a high-res facial image. Plus, you have to provide 4 fingerprints on a flatbed scanner.
Wow. 4 fingerprints and a facial map.
Yeah, but the silver lining is you don't have to do this full intense capture every single time.
Thank goodness.
Right. It's valid for 3 years or until your passport expires. So your next trip is just a quick facial scan.
Okay, that makes it a bit better. But listen, we need to issue a massive warning right here. Because people are getting scammed left and right with this.
Oh, absolutely. The fake websites are everywhere.
So hear this loud and clear. Do not pay for any online service for EES registration because it is free, completely free.
It is entirely handled in person at the airport kiosks when you land. If a website asks for your credit card to, expedite your EES, just close the tab. It's a scam.
Good to know. Yeah. But, okay, I want to push back on this whole system for a second. The authorities keep pitching this like it's a huge upgrade, right? Like setting up Face ID on your iPhone.
That's the marketing, yeah.
But when I set up my phone, I'm sitting on my couch with a coffee. Here, you're doing it severely jet-lagged, in a foreign language, surrounded by hundreds of impatient people in an echoing terminal. Are we sure this is an upgrade? It sounds like a recipe for a massive bottleneck.
Well, what's fascinating here is that the true purpose of the EES was never actually about making things faster for the traveler.
Really? Then what is it for?
It's all about absolute data precision. Think about the old physical stamp. If you stayed 94 days instead of your legally allowed 90 days, a tired border agent skimming through smudged ink stamps might just wave you through.
Yeah, there was a bit of a human grace period.
Exactly. But that human leniency is completely gone. The system automatically calculates your 91 80-day limit. It's like a digital stopwatch that starts ticking the second you land. Accidental overstays are instantaneously flagged.
So the math has to be perfect.
Flawless, which to your point is exactly why the transition to reality has been so chaotic, because the stakes for getting the data right at that kiosk are so high, it's causing insane delays.
I mean, we're seeing astonishing 4-hour delays at major airports. Rome, Malaga, Lisbon. It's a mess.
It's the hardware limitations, honestly. The fingerprint readers fail all the time.
Why? Just dirty glass or something?
Sometimes. But mostly, optical scanners really struggle with older travelers who have naturally lost skin elasticity. Or anyone who does manual labor. Your prints just scan as flat smudges.
Oh, wow. So what happens? The machine just keeps rejecting you?
Yep. After a few failed tries, the system locks you out. And then you're stuck waiting for a human attendant to manually fix it, which totally defeats the purpose of an automated border.
And they are severely understaffed as it is. Oh, and we have to talk about the +1 trap. This is wild.
Oh yeah, this is causing so many arguments in the terminals.
So, say you're traveling with your partner. They have an EU passport, so they're a dual citizen, but you just have a US or Canadian passport. You cannot stay together at the border anymore.
Yeah, you have to split up. The EU citizen partner just breezes through the e-gates. They bypass the EES kiosks entirely.
But you, the non-EU citizen, you're stuck going to the massive kiosk line. And the e-gates aren't programmed to let a non-citizen just trail behind their spouse.
Exactly. So your partner is at baggage claim having a coffee, and you're sweating in line for 3 hours.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. What happens when the tech just totally fails the traveler? Like, computer says no.
It highlights a massive philosophical shift. Border automation basically means zero human flexibility. It's binary now. You are approved or you are flagged.
So no more charming the border guard if your passport went through the washing machine.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
If the microchip hitting inside your passport cover is even slightly damaged and the kiosk can't read it, the gate will not open. Clean, undamaged passports are vital now.
Okay, so that's the nightmare at the physical border. But because the EES is bottlenecking so badly, authorities have added a new layer to stop you before you even leave your house.
Right, the pre-travel tolls, the filtration system.
Let's get into the ETIAS, which officially rolled out in late 2026. This is an online authorization for visa-exempt travelers, right?
Yes, it costs €7, you do it online, and it's valid for 3 years. If you didn't need a visa for France before, you still don't, but you absolutely need this ETIAS.
But the 7 fee isn't even the part that's blindsiding people. It's the UK ETA that's catching everyone out.
Because of Brexit, the UK has its own totally separate system, and it costs £16.
And here is the trap. You need that £16 ETA even if you are only transiting airside through a UK airport.
Which is unprecedented.
Totally. You fly from New York to London, Heathrow, you literally just sit in Terminal 5 waiting for your connection to Rome. You never cross the border into the UK.
Nope.
But they still charge you a toll just to sit in their transit lounge. And if you don't have it, you get denied boarding in New York.
Because the airlines are deputized now. The check-in desk is the new border. When the agent scans your passport in New York, the software pings London. If London doesn't send back a yes for your ETA, the boarding pass printer physically locks.
The agent literally can't print your ticket.
Even if they wanted to. The machine won't let them.
It feels like European travel in 2026 has turned into a freemium mobile game.
Huh. That's actually pretty accurate.
Right. You pay for the flight, but then you're hit with microtransactions at every single step. The ETS fee, the UK ETA transit toll.
The dynamic tourist taxes.
Yes. Venice charging day trippers €10 just to cross the city limits, plus airlines giving staff bonuses for catching oversized cabin bags. So what does this all mean? Is budget backpacking through Europe officially dead?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you start to see a highly coordinated strategy. Europe is deliberately using these digital tolls and taxes to combat over-tourism.
So the friction is the point.
Exactly. They are curating a more regulated, higher-yield tourism model. They want to filter out the chaos. If a bunch of small fees and digital forms make someone decide it's too annoying to visit Venice for the day, then the system is working perfectly.
They are pricing out spontaneity.
They really are.
Okay, so knowing the system is rigged to be strict and expensive, how do we navigate it? We promised to equip you with some defensive travel hygiene, so let's get into the hacks.
Let's do it. We have to start with the 10-year passport rule. This is catching so many people.
Oh, this is a total trip killer.
Airlines are ruthlessly enforcing the rule that your passport must have been issued within the last 10 years, and it needs 3 to 6 months of validity left.
But why the strict 10-year mark? Even if my passport doesn't expire for another 4 months.
It comes down to the cryptography on the chip. Passports older than 10 years run on outdated security protocols. They physically cannot communicate with the 2026 EES databases.
So the kiosk just reads it as invalid, and the airline locks the printer again.
Exactly. Another critical rule, the buffer rule. Never, ever book a connection under 2 hours.
Yeah, with those EES bottlenecks, a 90-minute layover means you're definitely missing your flight.
For sure. Now, if you are lucky enough to have an EU passport, absolutely use the dual passport hack.
Just use the EU one for everything over there.
You completely bypass the EES system. Just use the e-gates.
Now, my favorite loophole in this entire deep dive is the cruise loophole.
This one is brilliant.
Right. So cruisers starting and ending outside the Schengen area, say A round trip out of the UK are totally exempt from ES for day trips.
Because legally you're officially sleeping on the ship, which is in international waters. So walking into port for the day doesn't trigger the biometric requirement.
It's the ultimate hack if you want to see the ports without the terminal queues.
Okay.
But let's talk about coming home. There's a TSA pilot program that's actually some good news.
Really, right. Yeah, some travelers returning to the U.S. from Europe on select flights might actually get to skip secondary TSA screening on their domestic connections.
Because the European databases have vetted your digital profile so thoroughly, they just share that data with the U.S.
Which is convenient, but taking advantage of all this seamless travel requires serious digital preparedness. Scrutiny on travel insurance is way up.
They want proof of medical and repatriation coverage, right?
Yes, and you need it easily accessible on a fully charged phone.
And this brings up my biggest anxiety about this whole paperless travel era. We are told to put everything on our phones. The boarding pass, the ETIAS, the insurance.
Right.
But if I'm trapped in a 4-hour EES delay in Rome and my battery dies, my entire identity and right to travel just evaporates. Are we putting way too much faith in a single pane of glass to save our vacation?
You're completely right to be anxious. It is a massive structural vulnerability. The whole system assumes you have a charged, connected device at all times.
Which is terrifying.
Which is why you have to treat your digital hygiene with the same importance as packing clean underwear. You need screenshots of everything saved locally, not on the cloud.
Just in your photo album.
Exactly, in case the airport Wi-Fi fails. And you need a high-capacity portable charger physically on your person, not in your checked bag. There's just no room to wing it anymore.
Okay, let's recap this survival guide for 2026. 1. Expect to give your face and fingerprints for your free ES digital stamp upon arrival and prepare for delays.
2. Don't get scammed. Never pay a third-party website for EES registration.
3. Apply for your ETS and your UK ETA early, knowing the UK will charge you just to transit.
And 4. Double-check that passport issue date the second this deep dive is over.
So important. Listen, despite all this friction, Europe is obviously still incredibly beautiful and wide open for travel. But the mindset has to shift from spontaneous exploration to, well, organized, permission-based travel.
If you prepare and respect the rules, your vacation will be magical. If you ignore them, it just won't happen at all.
You won't even get past the check-in desk.
Exactly. And that leaves us with a lingering question for you to ponder. With our faces, our fingerprints, and our exact whereabouts now permanently logged in international databases just for a week of vacation.
Yeah. At what point does the convenience of a secure border begin to cost us our fundamental right to travel anonymously? Have we just traded the romance of the open road for a barcode?
Oof. Something to really think about next time you step up to that scanner. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.